The Diversity and Inclusion Student Center, DISC, in partnership with the Ideas Coalition, welcomes you, to the 17th episode of Walking the Walk Together. It's a panel series. Tonight we have an amazing panel of SCU students, staff, and community members to share experiences relative to job and internship searching in today's evolving professional landscape. There's been growing concern around the employment landscape here in Silicon Valley, especially related to engineering. We're not going to solve that problem today, but we hope we can create a constructive atmosphere that nurtures ideas and real solutions for the issues we're discussing. Please note, as it has been mentioned, that this panel is being recorded and shared later on our SCU Engineering YouTube channel. There, you will actually be able to see some past panels and hear from panelists like Seidel Curry-Lee, Dr. Tracy Fanara, Maynard Pariki, and Dr. Aldo Choa, former SCU student and staff leaders, etc. You can find the engineering YouTube channel at scu.edu/engineering/WTWT. So we want to create a constructive atmosphere that nurtures ideas and real solutions. Before we start, we do have some house rules. It is a safe space. We're here to support. Again, the panel is going to be recorded, but once the panel is over, recording will stop. And a trigger warning, this panel may contain material that may be triggering for some individuals. Also remember, you've worked hard, earned your spot, you deserve to be here, and you belong. Okay, I've talked for a while, but who am I? My name is Andrew Gupton. I work at the Career Center on the Employer Relations team, supporting specifically employers in STEM. And now I'd love to introduce, or have our panelists introduce themselves. So we'll just go down the line. So we'll start with Shiv, and then if you can give us kind of like your 30 to 90 second intro.
30 to 90. Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Shiv Chalani. I'm from New Delhi, India. I am a junior computer science major here at Santa Clara. I've honestly loved every second of being in Santa Clara. I also work at the Career Center as a peer career advisor, which is a phenomenal job. And I love all the on-campus involvements I've been able to get. My experience at Santa Clara so far, as I said before, has been phenomenal. It's felt like home from quite early on. And yeah, excited to be on the panel today. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, thank you, Shiv.
Hello, my name is Esteban. I am an alumni. I graduated from Santa Clara last spring in 2023. I double majored in computer science and finance, and now I am a field support engineer at Ondas Networks in Sunnyvale. So I'm really happy to be here.
Hello everyone, we are very excited to talk about job search best practices with all of you today. My name is Miriam Bartz. I work at the Career Center as well. I am an assistant director and I serve the grad engineering students. And actually I'm a student as well, so I'm pursuing my master's in counseling psychology here at Santa Clara.
Perfect. All right. Well, with that, we will get started. Some questions that we have will be for all of our panelists. Some will be just for specific panelists, so I'll make sure to indicate that before I ask the question. But the first one's open to everybody. The question is, what is your why? And furthermore, what has been or what are the motivating drives in your life to bring you to where you are now? And anybody can start.
I would like to start. So my background has been in technology. I used to work for a big tech company here in the Silicon Valley. I was in customer service. I worked with international customers who will come to meet with subject matter experts to learn more about the technology of this company. I was at that road, and I decided that what I was doing was not fulfilling. Now that I'm working with the students, I feel that I'm following my purpose, that I'm serving a community that really would like to do better, and then I inspire them to become the best version of themselves. And how do I do that? By helping them to recognize what is unique about them, their strengths, and then they can put together job search strategies and gain confidence so they can move forward.
Yeah, I think for myself, what motivates me a lot is, first of all, I think honestly from a young age, I'm fortunate to say that I was driven from very early on. I remember a funny story when I was about like 5 years old, or that's 7. I spoke to my mom and I was like, oh, what's the best college in the world? And at the time she said Harvard, and I was like, okay, well, we're gonna work towards going there. I didn't do business, so, but that my goal was for like, until I was like 11, it was like, oh, Harvard Business School. I think so I guess I've been motivated from early on, but I think now what keeps me going is recognizing how much my family has sacrificed for me to be here. I'm very fortunate to be in a position where I can be at Santa Clara, have these opportunities, and I think that's what drives me to keep making the most of my time here, keeping myself busy, it keeps me going. Honestly, I just love getting involved with a lot of things. I love being active, I love to keep working. I think it's a culmination of all of those things that sort of keep me motivated.
For me, I think the overarching why I do what I do is because I do want to become the best version of myself. I try to do everything as best as I can, and my decisions circle around achieving that best version of myself. That is like probably the overarching, but then I have many whys I could probably say, and sometimes they are more on top of mind and sometimes they're not. For example, sometimes I'll wake up and the only reason I'm here is because my parents worked so hard, so I gotta make it for them. Sometimes I wake up and I say, I'm so lucky to be here. Back home it's not as good as it's here, so I have to make sure that I stay here. Sometimes I'll wake up and I'll be like, I just want a lot of money, so I gotta work hard to get that money, you know? And yeah, so it does change, but overall, I do try to just become that best version of myself because I visualize that version of myself achieving all the other whys, right? Achieving financial freedom and being able to stay here in a much better place than back home. Being able to take care of those that have taken care of before me. So
I think that was a great way to describe it, to become the best version of yourself. And yeah, that makes total sense to me. It's true for myself.
No, this is good. It's a discussion.
Yeah.
We're all chiming in. A lot of parallels, but I think one thing I noticed is this idea of change, right? Miriam's job and what she was doing, and finding a pivot that added more fulfillment. A drive to go to Harvard Business School at 5 or 7, and then you learn more about the world in your life, and you're still finding fulfillment and important things like family and support. So this is I think really helpful, and maybe a good segue into our next question, which is a little more focused on the job market. So again, for everybody, what have you noticed, if anything, about recent changes in the job market, and do you have any advice or guidance for students who are concerned about securing jobs or internships?
What we have noticed the Career Center is that jobs are getting more competitive. The companies are looking to hire the best of the best. And we all know at the same time that you can have the best education, you can bring a lot of experience, but people hire people that they like. So what we recommend to our students is the power of networking. So what to do when the economy is not doing well? What to do when you have been sending several resumes, applying to all the jobs that are available? Networking is what we continuously advise our students. Network, network, network. Because that is how you are going to differentiate yourself from others, and you want to tap into the hidden job market. So the economy is always going to be sometimes doing really well, sometimes it's going to do not that well, so it's cyclical. But if you have a good network of people that are going to support you, and if you put together a strategy, you are going to do really well.
As to recent changes, this is basically all I've known, right? Because when I was a junior, I did secure an internship, and it was more business related. I ended up pursuing a career in STEM. But then, first 2 years of university, I honestly was not that focused on finding an internship, and maybe we'll get as to was that a good or bad thing later. But so this is all I've known, and it is tough, right? Because applying to university in 2018, 2019 for me, and everything was so different, right? You would hear stories about people getting jobs everywhere, and now, yeah, it's tough. And like Miriam said, it's all about your network. I've realized, I Googled it today as I was reading the questions for the panel as to how many jobs how many jobs people get based on networking, and it's like more than half. Like the number that Google popped up was 60%. And so now more than ever, you have to talk to people because the way I see it, there's like 3 check boxes you have to check in order to get a job. One is, can you do the job? I'm sure everybody here can do the job that you're pursuing. The second checkbox I would say is probably, will you do the job, right? So that's a little bit more work ethic, I would say. And then the last one, which Miriam touched on, is, do we like you, right? And so the first 2 boxes are pretty good, especially with the tools you have here at Santa Clara, the education and the Career Center. You're gonna be able to prove to companies as to can you and will you, but then that network is important, right, to make that last step. So advice, networking, which I think I'll get more into detail later in the panel.
Yeah, I just want to echo what both of them said. I think through my time at the Career Center, as well as I've been fortunate enough to have some amazing conversation with some incredible people. That's the one thing that everybody, whenever you ask for like advice and like, oh, as a junior, what should I be focusing on when I'm trying to build my career? Or like, what's something that I should be doing? And the answer 95% of the time has always been networking. And I feel like if there's so many people who are saying that, who are older, more experienced, and know better about the job market, know better about the climate that we're in, there's no reason not to listen to them. And I think that's something that I've tried to incorporate into my life. But the one thing that I found was, I honestly, personally, I just love meeting new people. And so for myself, it was just getting to know people more, and it doesn't have to be anything more than that. And I'd also say in terms of like what I've observed of the job market, I think it's no surprise, or it's not a hidden secret right now that the market isn't doing too well in terms of jobs for new grads in the tech industry. And I think that's what it's about. I think what I've heard from other people again has been, it's a numbers game. You gotta keep applying. Don't take rejection seriously. Take the feedback, but don't take it personally. Not seriously, personally. And I think keep moving forward and keep staying motivated is, I think, the way to go, alongside, of course, as they both have said, networking. So it's a culmination of a lot of different things when it comes down to it. Has been my experience so far, just as a junior. But.
but you've successfully navigated, multiple internship searches. So I think that feedback is really helpful for our students, whether they're searching for jobs or internships. And I would just add, if you paid attention to the news, the frustrating thing I think for a lot of us is like, well, jobs reports, things that are said about changes in the economy are actually positive, right? But it doesn't feel like that here if you're like trying to apply to jobs at Google and Meta. It's like they're not hiring, right? Tech is really a small sliver of the overall economy. And so we're feeling the pain here now, especially if you're computer science, electrical. It's a pendulum. Like it's going to come back. It's just a tough time. But the important thing to keep in mind is that there are tech jobs that are not in tech. So the other thing I would add to this is like tap into your creativity. If your first job is not a software engineer at Google, it doesn't mean that that's not ever going to be a job that you have. As a matter of fact, I'd be willing to bet. And I'm not going to follow up on this, so we don't have to wager anything. But I'd be willing to bet that the first job that you all have is very likely not going to be the job that you retire from however many years later, right? So I think it's good to know that you have options. And yes, I think tapping into your network, staying positive, staying motivated, being creative, these are all things that you'll hear from the Career Center and your peers, but just a good reminder for yourselves too. Okay, so we're going to drill down a little bit deeper into what Esteban and Shiv were talking about. So I'm curious for both of you that have recently navigated searches. Are there any things that you noticed as applicants? And then are there challenges you faced that you successfully overcame as job and internship searchers?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is this is a sales term, but I'm sure it applies here. I think cold applications are not the way to go at all. What is a cold application to me is just look up a company, find an open position, apply, and that's all you do. I don't think you should be doing that because I did that for a long time and it just didn't fruit. It didn't bring any results at all. Like no technical assessment, no phone screen, and so you can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. So I did change my approach, and you want to start doing warm or even hot applications, right? And that's what I would call them. You want to network, talk to people within the company that either do what you want or just work there. Prefer like easier. It's much easier if you seek out Santa Clara students, but that's like the one thing that I can think of right now is cold applications. It's not the way to go, right? You probably want to build an application with networking. You want to mix it because it's tough just to be another resume in the thousands that there are and expect to stand out. So, yeah.
In my experience as well, I'm fortunate to have landed an internship last summer and this one as well. And the way I landed it was through a hackathon that happened on campus. A company hosted it and they're incredible. And I was fortunate to have an incredible team and we won the hackathon. And the prize was a final round interview at the company. And so it was definitely not a cold application. There were the company representatives were at the hackathon, and that's how I think I was fortunate to be able to land it. But I also, again, it comes back to the Career Center. I think there's so many things that, like, so many tools that are available. Like on LinkedIn, you can go to Santa Clara, search up the alumni, and that's so helpful to reach out to like people that you know, that people are working at your dream companies. You can be like, hey, I'm a fellow Bronco. Like, can I schedule a chat with you and just get to know about your position, and then you learn more about what they're doing, and then you can see if that company, your dream company, is a good fit for you or not. What if like you talk to a person and they don't like the work culture there, and then you realize hey, maybe that company isn't for me. And so I think that, alongside Blanco Exchange, are so good to sort of develop what Esteban was talking about, in terms of getting that first connection, starting that talk at least, is helpful. But I would also add that sending in I think you call them cold applications. That's also something I've heard people do. Again, it's more popular for it to not work, but I have also heard of some of my friends who it did work for. So I think you need to strike a balance of both of them. At the end of the day, again, one of the most common things I heard, again, all of this comes from stuff that I've heard from upperclassmen at the time when I was a freshman and sophomore, and then just people I've been fortunate enough to speak to. But they all said it's a numbers game. You just gotta apply and hope for the best, and also do whatever you can. So in terms of doing whatever you can, again, it comes back to talking, comes back to fixing up your resume to make sure it looks good, make sure it's compatible with their screening type, and yeah, I think it's just a combination.
Great. I think it's important students hear from both of you because you both successfully navigated searches recently. And the fact of the matter is it possible that you can get a job or an internship from a cold application? Of course. Yeah. It's just, it's so competitive that it's not necessarily in your best interest only to do that. But even if you network, right, that may get your foot in the door, but you have to, successfully get through the interviews. You have to display your skills and experience in a way that's accessible to the hiring team, right? And things happen. And frankly, even if you get into an interview process, there's still plenty that's out of your control. And so my next question is for Miriam. Do you have any advice for students on how to cope with a lack of control in the job search?
Yeah. So it's difficult to be rejected. So when you apply for a role and then you don't hear anything, or you continue looking for job opportunities that you think you would be a good fit for. And I have talked to students who, when they come to the Career Center, share some of those stories of applying to more than 700 applications or jobs. And they realize that that process that they are following is not working. And I call it the spread and pray approach, so that you are just sending all your applications, hoping and praying that somebody's going to answer to you. And you can continue applying for jobs, as Andrew mentioned. That's okay. Just change your strategy. 20% of your time apply for jobs, and 80% of your time try to network. Now, there are so many things that you cannot control. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control when the companies are not hiring. You cannot control that when you send your resume, you don't hear anything from anybody. It looks like you send your resume to a black hole, you don't know what happened, and then you start questioning yourself about your skills. Am I good enough? Perhaps I don't have all the experience that they're looking for. Try to focus on what is unique about you, your skills, your expertise, what you bring to the table. Just try to claim your power so you can continue with the job search. Focus on what is working instead of what is not working. And the economy is going to do well. And start just talking to people who are doing the jobs that you would like to pursue. Just be curious. Andrew was saying, just tap into your curiosity. When you are reaching out to the fellow Broncos, just ask them about their story. How were they able to be successful? You are going to be looking for offers, not for jobs. And when you talk to people, you are not going to be asking them, could you please find me a job? What happens when that happens? When you ask somebody to find a job for you? You don't hear from them. because if they don't have a job, they're going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. So try to build relationships. When you are building a relationship with a new friend, you don't start, could you please do this for me? Hi, how are you? And you are looking for commonalities. Try to look for commonalities, but again, focus on what you can control instead of what you cannot control.
Can I?
Please,
Okay.
yeah.
I do want to talk a little bit about that reaching out. It might seem intimidating because it's definitely not. I think it's a skill, right? Some people are born with it, but you can definitely learn it. And the way I see it, I'll use an anecdote from when I was in high school. There was this prom was coming up, and I was thinking of asking a certain girl, and I was just so nervous because I was gonna have to walk up to her and ask her. And then my dad told me, "What's her response right now?" And I was like, "I haven't asked her." And then he was like, "Well, then it's no. Like if you don't ask, it's no. And if you ask, it could be yes, but if you don't, it's definitely gonna be no." So then I did ask, just to finish the anecdote. She said yes, and then she canceled. But that's okay. What I'm trying to get at is not doing is you're gonna get the same answer every time if you don't, right? It's going to be no. So just the fact that you ask, the more you ask, the better you get at it. You like focus on what works. You improve your message. You improve the way you address people. And then the other thing that Miriam mentioned was that rejection is hard, but it doesn't always have to be. You have to start thinking about it in the sense that it's not personal, right? Rejection is not personal. I cannot overemphasize that enough. Every day we go through our days and we reject so many things in our lives. That does not make us bad people, right? If there's a song you don't like, you reject it. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. It's just not for you, right? But the song can still be good for somebody else. It's just not for you. And so, if you get rejected, just think about it that way, right? That doesn't make them bad people, and that doesn't make you a bad person. It's just not your type, right? You're not their type. There will be an opportunity for you. So, just wanted to chime in there.
Please, go ahead.
I cannot echo that point any louder. I think it's so important to not take it personally. And the first time you send in applications, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna be really hard for you to take it and be like, what's wrong with me? Like, why? I thought my resume looked good. People told me my resume looked good. Like, what's wrong? Why doesn't this company want me at the time? And you just have to realize it's again, like he said, it's not personal. I think it boils down to a lot of different things. Someone told me once, luck plays a big factor. You don't think about that at all when you're applying. You're gonna say, oh, if I'm qualified, I'll get the job. Luck plays a big factor in it. And so there's so many things that are not in your control that form part of this process that can feel so demotivating at times. But I think if you take it in your stride and you don't let it get to you, I think you'll come out of it you learn more. You'll see like, oh, maybe this point of my resume, I didn't quite talk about the action I had. Oh, I should have added numbers here. You start realizing that more and more as you go on, and slowly, if you don't take it personally, you grow from it. And also in terms of the outreach, I totally agree. I think one thing about, in my experience, I may have just gotten lucky with the people that I've reached out to, but the ones that have seen my messages have been so nice about proactively meeting with me. I've set up calls, I've spoken to people, talked about their experiences, about their lives, about how they got to where they are, if they have advice for me, about just simply by just being curious and just being like, if you're respectful and if you're like, hey, I'm in the same position you were in 20 years ago, do you mind taking 15 minutes out of your day? I understand in the next 4 weeks, if you have 15 minutes of your time to just get on a short call with me and answer some questions I have, I think so many people, if they see that message, they're so likely to reply that I didn't think I understood how willing people were to talk before I started like reaching out and messaging people on LinkedIn. And it honestly, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of effort, but once you do, I have left every conversation going, wow, that was so cool. I learned so much from it. You grow, you learn, and it's just really nice talking to people. At least in my experience, but I think I got lucky as well.
So I think a takeaway here is that while there is a lot that's out of your control when you're job and internship searching, it doesn't mean that it's all out of your control, right? And that there are things you can do to be proactive or to get yourself in a better position. We were talking about this earlier, Miriam and I. The companies are not losing sleep when they reject your application, so you shouldn't either. And it's also when you get a rejection email for a job or an internship that you've applied for, I think people think like, I'll never work there. But I know places where people have had to apply 3, 4, 5 times before they even get an interview. So just know it's not the end of the road if you get a rejection email. It's just for that particular role, it's not a fit. I think everybody in here is going to feel very confident after this about doing outreach and networking with people. And I also get the sense that they might feel more comfortable like reaching out to their crushes. So I think we're solving more than just job and internship searching problems here.
Yeah. One last thing. You have to be aggressive, but you have to be nice, right? These people are busy, and I didn't understand it until I actually started working. But it is true, they are busy. So I'll give you an example. You reach out to them, they accept your LinkedIn message, and then you thank them for accepting your LinkedIn message, and then you ask them for a meeting, and then they don't reply for 4 days. That's okay. You message again, and you're like, hey, not sure if you saw my message. I was wondering if you want to talk for 10 minutes. They don't reply again, and you just keep doing that. Always nice, but aggressive, right? And the other thing I wanted to say before we move on is proactivity. You said proactivity. Any would've or should've has to arise from ignorance. So think about it. Like, I should have done this, I would have done this. If you can say that after the fact, but it has to be from it has to be from ignorance, right? I didn't know that I should have done it, or I didn't know that I would have done it. It can't come from laziness, right? Just do the absolute most you can. So, yeah.
Perfecto. I think for the sake of time, because we have 4 more that are listed, and certainly we don't have to get to them all, but I think there's some meaty stuff here. I'm curious, this is for anybody, and obviously if you don't have a response, that's okay too. But anybody have any tips for underrepresented students or those who may feel marginalized by the traditional job search?
When I have talked to students who feel who are part of the minority group, what I always recommend to them is to find people that from the same community that they admire, so they can start talking to them and then find out how they got where they are, and then find mentors as well. So important for all of you. It could be one of your professors, it could be a family member, perhaps a friend. Always try to find mentors that can help you when you are feeling down, when you don't have that much confidence to move forward, when you have been rejected, when you don't know what is happening, when you read the news and everything is so negative. Find mentors that can help you to move forward, that can listen to you, that can give you some advice. And there are so many people who are willing to provide a hand to you, to say to you, it's gonna be okay. I know that it was hard. Okay, what do you learn about it? What are you going to do differently? And then when I say to the students as well, when they are not able to find a job, or the job or their dream job, is just to say to themselves, I haven't found my dream job, I'm working on it. And that really helps them to change their mindset so they can move forward, and then that continue with that hope that they're going to find a job opportunity.
I feel like something that's helpful and sort of something that I try to keep in mind is while you can't, I think it's comes back to the notion of control. While you can't control everything that happens outside, at least for myself, I try to do as much as I can in terms of not trying to be, like if I know there's something more I could do, try to do it as proactively as possible. I sort of try to live that way just because I don't know, I just like to be proactive about the way I approach my job search, my building my professional career, and trying to do as much as I possibly can to tip the odds in my favor. And I guess it's the best response out to the question.
I think within underrepresented groups, I only fall in the international student group. So you always have to check that. Will you now or in the future require visa sponsorship box at every application? Back again, control. I can't control that. I can't try either. You have to check that box. And so what you can control is how much work you put into it, right? Like you won't be able to change the system. So at this moment in time, you have to work harder. That's what I did, and fortunately it worked, and I think it will for you too.
Yeah, this is great. I think it's not a single thing that underrepresented students are worried about. There's a lot that goes into this. I would add that it's similar to rejection. It's worth not being afraid of failure. We talked so much about like how all of you have grown, and so much of that has come from learning. And it's very possible that you may take a job, or you may take your career in a direction where you're like, oh, gosh, it doesn't feel like the direction I want to go, or like a successful choice. The good news is we have the option to make changes and pivots over a lifetime. It's going to take trying something to see what works and what doesn't. So on that note, that doesn't make the job or internship search any less stressful because there is pressure. So I'm curious, and we'll start with Miriam. Because it can be so challenging, stressful, time-consuming, overwhelming, do you have any tips to for students who may be struggling with that stress?
Yes. It's very important for you to take care of yourself, to follow self-care practices. Exercise every day. Sleep at least 7 hours every night. I know that it may be a little bit challenging if you are going through the exams or you are working on projects. Eat nutritious food. So we call it the SANER acronym. So the S, sleep 7 or 8 hours at least every day. The A stands for have a positive attitude. The N, eat nutritious food. The E, exercise. And you don't need to go to the gym every day. You can just walk around campus. I think that is just beautiful to go outside. And then the R, have good relationships. Who is in your track? Who is supporting you? Who is cheering you up? So what are you going to do to continue with the job search, with your academics? So it's really, really difficult. And then put together a job search strategy. Start with, where do you see yourself 1 year from now? What kind of companies you think that would be a good fit for you? It's okay to dream. Just write them down, and that list will be organic. It's going to change well, now the Google, Cisco, Apple may not be hiring. Okay, they're going to be on my list, but who is hiring? What are other industries that are hiring? Every industry would like to hire or to have somebody with your skill set. So what are those industries? What kind of companies I would like to start looking into? And then who do I know from my network who will help me to either just get some information about what the company does, or perhaps I find an insider, or you may find somebody who's a very good networker, who knows a lot of people. So start reaching out to them. Again, you are looking for offers. You are not looking for jobs. Put together a strategy. It starts, and it's very similar when you come to school. That you need to take if you are going through your grad engineering program. It takes around 2 years. So that you are not expecting that when you are going through the first quarter, you are going to get your diploma. It takes time. You need to take several classes. There are requirements. You need to deliver some projects. It's the same with your job search strategy. It takes time. But again, put together that strategy, and you are going to see results.
Yeah, I think Miriam touched on a lot of great points there. I can talk from personal experience. There's definitely been a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry about what the next summer's going to look like, or what the next 3 years are going to look like, and it's very, very scary. But I think I found a safe space in the gym for myself. I found working out was very, very helpful for myself, mentally, physically. I also want to echo Miriam's point about finding the right people. I am so fortunate to be at Santa Clara, where I've been able to join a lot of organizations that are so conducive to a healthy learning environment, a healthy developing environment, and a healthy social environment that have just pushed me to become the person that I want to be. Still working on it, of course, but definitely I think heading in the right directions, thanks to my friends, thanks to the people I surround myself with. There's some really, really great clubs, organizations here. The people at Santa Clara are so, so nice. And I think that's been a major factor, and something that's generally carried me a really, really long way in this journey. But yeah, I think taking care of yourself. And something that I started doing was also sometimes just writing what you're stressed about. One thing I saw online was, if you're stressed about something, write it all down. If you can't control it, strike it out and work on the things that you can control. And that sounds so simple, but I did it like a few times, and it was genuinely helpful. So if that's something that sounds like you, give it a shot. It takes 5 minutes, and if it can help alleviate some stress, I don't see why you shouldn't give it a try. But yeah.
I think it's very individual, but try a lot of things, and cliche as it sounds, baby steps, right? You are not going to be able, or maybe you are, but for me, let's go with me. I wanted to run every day, and I wanted to run a decent distance every day, but I couldn't. I tried a few times, and I would run 3 miles, 4 miles, and then I just wouldn't be able to run the next day or for like 2 more days. And it was more of a mental thing. I think physically I could have, it's okay. But the point is, try a little bit and a little bit, and build on that. When I set myself too big of a goal from more like one day to the other, chances are I won't meet that goal. So you want to have little step goals, right? And build yourself up. Even in the job search, networking. I started out reaching out to 3 people 2 days a week, so that's 6 people. And I built myself to the point where I was reaching to tens of people per day, every day. But again, it was not from 1 week to the next, you know. So baby steps and try, because everyone's different, and what works for me might not work for you. Even the baby steps thing, I mean, but yeah, that's how I manage my stress.
Yeah, this is helpful. Obviously, it's not just for job and internship searching. These stress management, anxiety management tactics are meant to help you not just while you're students, but throughout the rest of your life. And there are tons of resources here at Santa Clara that are meant to help with that also. I know no one asked me, but I'll provide a little life advice, which is have fun, do fun things. At this age, that's what you should be doing. Shit is always on the basketball court, like, making pretty audacious claims. So take them on. Go to an arcade. I don't know what you kids do nowadays, but do something fun, right? Take your mind off the stresses of the job and internship search, so that you can also live your lives.
I'm going on the court right after this panel.
I figured. Yeah, right. Okay. So we had 2 more questions, but we've kind of answered one of them. So I'm gonna move us to the last one. And I asked this of panelists, almost any panel, regardless of what the topic is, because I just think this is a good reflection for you all and good for our students to hear. Is there any advice you wish you would have received earlier on that could benefit our students?
The earlier you start, the better, but it's never too late to start. I personally did not start early at all. I think I started searching for a job the day after I graduated. So you can imagine how overwhelmed I felt. And I'm gonna go back a little bit to the stress question. Build a board for you, people that you can go talk to. My board is family members, a couple friends, therapist if you can. Always, that's good. But advice, it's never too late to start, but do start as soon as you can, and it'll be okay as long as you keep working. It'll work out. So that's the one advice.
I would say, don't be afraid of failure. It's how you are going to learn and treat life as an adventure. And try to understand what are some obstacles that are holding you back. You can set up goals, you can say this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. Identify what are the obstacles. Would it be just looking at your phone and or spending a lot of time on your phone and watching Netflix, and that's okay. It's okay to have fun, but just identify what are the obstacles that won't allow you to move forward. So I wish I had that kind of feedback or a recommendation when I was young. Don't be afraid of failure. This is how you learn.
It feels a little funny answering this question since I'm just 20. But I think one of the things that I picked up during my time at Santa Clara was keep an open mind. And I think that's something that I'm fortunate to say that has taken me a long way with my involvements in particular that have played such a key role in my job search. I'm a part of Hit a Talk, which is a professional engineering fraternity. And before I had heard about it, I was so dissuaded by an idea of a fraternity because I had some preconceived notions in my mind. But keeping an open mind, going for the first event, was so instrumental in becoming who I am today. Going back to the hackathon, the reason I was able to be a part of the winning team was because the winning team was all people from that fraternity, and I was able to meet some really, really cool people who drive me, motivate me, push me to be a better person every day. And I think that has been something that I'm, again, fortunate to say has played a big part in my journey so far. And I also try to keep a smile on my face every day, regardless of what's happening. I feel like it makes my day better, even if the day is not the best. Forcing a smile sometimes makes it better, because you see other people, and then they smile back at you, and then you're happier. But yeah, that's a small thing too.
Yeah, I thank you all for insight and advice and guidance for our students. We'll move now to, if there's anything else that we didn't cover, if you have any, it's listed here as closing statements, but to avoid it being a little less courthousey, if there's anything we didn't say that you wanted to get off your chest.
I want to say that everyone here is open, or I'm open to talking to any of you individually. My LinkedIn is my name, and I'm a Santa Clara student, so use the filters. Look me up. If you want to hear more, I will make time for you, because we do stand on the shoulders of those that came before us, right? And I know some people help me, and I'm not just doing it for that. I love helping people, so yeah, just reach out. Please do not be shy, because I will help you. So that's what I want to say.
Thank you. Yes, that's very, very, a very, very nice offering, and we'll hang out a little bit after. So if you have time to stick around. And on that note, let's take a moment to thank all of our panelists. One round of applause. Oh, did you have any parting comments?
I just had one thing to add.
Yes.
Just have fun with the process. Have fun when you're building, at least with computer science. I know a lot of people are like told to think, oh, do personal projects, oh, participate in hackathons. Honestly, take the time to have fun doing that. I think that was one of the biggest things that helped me was I just realized how much I like doing those things, how much I love trying to make things easier using coding. And I think that's what helps me to keep going, keep building new things, is because I love doing it. It's honestly fun. It doesn't feel like work a lot of the time. Sometimes it does. It definitely does. But like a lot of the time it's just fun. So even though it can be demotivating, just try taking it and try to look at the bright side. But it's hard. It's way easier said than done. But if you can't, look at the positive. And I'm also, if you want to ask questions, I'm also available, but I'm just a junior, so you can still reach out. Yes.
What's your major?
Oh, I'm computer science in the College of Arts and Sciences, and I'm a junior.
Yes, be curious. Tap into your social intelligence. Be brave. Don't be afraid of failure, and just have fun. And just treat life as an adventure. And you're going to be fine.
And the adventure begins. All right, we're going to end so we can record, and then any questions that you all have, feel free to come see us.
Is it stopped?
Okay. Yeah, okay. All right.
Got it.